Hi, all. Welcome. This is Sherman Mohr, and I am the Blue Ocean Strategist. And I'm here with a very special guest this morning for the Value Innovators Show. And I really am excited to introduce Shannon Rizzo. She is a great, great friend and an incredible story you're about to hear. I met Shannon through networking events, and I remember one at a high-end men's clothing store where I was hosting a bourbon event, and this woman comes through, and there's this energy, and me and the guys and gals that were standing around in my little immediate circle, like, who is that? But there was this swath of wonderful energy associated with Shannon, and we had no clue what was going on. And she was connected to an art gallery owner here in Nashville, where I'd had an initial phone conversation, and then the in-person version of Shannon far exceeded even the phone expectations. So I discovered she was working with women creators, female creators across the world in developing countries, and representing their products and providing them a market to the U.S. audience. And the gifts that I bought are still among my wife's favorites, by the way. She absolutely loves them. And then the story that came along with the woman that made those made them even more special. So with that, Shannon, welcome to the Value Innovators Show. People are going to learn very quickly what value innovation in the context of your work really means. And tell us about your work in global girl life and how this enterprise has kind of come to be.
Thank you, Sherman. I'm so happy to be here. Good morning, everybody. Sherman, I've just really enjoyed how our relationship has evolved and seeing all the things that you've done. And I feel so honored to be here in front of your audience today. You are such a strategist, and you have your hands in everything that's wonderful, that is promoting thriving in this crazy COVID experience of 2020.
You as well.
I mean, it just really, when we talked and connected this week, it was so wonderful because we're doing the same thing. We are basically helping people who are just in the mode of surviving, trying to break that mindset and say, you have a skill set that is absolutely amazing, and I want to help you turn that into something that's thriving and help change the world and make a big impact. And so that's kind of how we connected. And I consider myself a connector first before anything. That is what I do. That is who I am. And so I know that you're the same way. So I'm so happy to be here and tell my story. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell us about these travels, how you began to tie these incredible women in the developing world to us in the United States.
Yes, I would love to. So I never traveled out of the country until I was 36 years old. And so it was since I was 4, I knew I was a global girl. Like inside, I would have these imaginatory excursions inside my house of like going to these places and meeting new people and all these things. And so I was very fortunate throughout my life to have many, many jobs and never hold any of them very long. And so that kind of gave me the ambiance of being able to create myself over and over again and be able to do the things that I could only dream of when I was a kid. And so at 36, I found myself reinventing my entire life because I had sold a company that I had birthed, on my own, and went through a crazy divorce a few years later. And I just said, you know what? I'm not happy. I have everything on paper that I should have. And I am not feeling like I am fulfilling my purpose in this world. I have so much to give. And so I went on one trip that changed my life. I went back to school to get my degree, and I went to Greece. And I really realized that the world was so much bigger than just me. And I felt wonderfully normal. I felt like I can make a difference in telling other women and sharing this story with them. And as that started to travel, I met these women, and I really, I found myself where the locals were. I wasn't hanging out in high-rise hotels and the majesty of like tourism and things like that. I was really, eating with them on the street and finding out, like, shopping for jewelry, like what their story was. And the more entrenched I got into their stories, I realized that my background of being a very poor child growing up in Nashville really related to all the struggles that they had, and that they were creating something beautiful with this handmade jewelry that I was shopping for. And they put all that love into that one piece that they were trying to sell to make a living for food, to basically survive. And so I thought, well, how can I bring this wonderful story to all the people that I know? And I created a culture box, a subscription box service where I basically traveled the world and put all of these stories in the box. And then people subscribed to that and then got the wonderful stories, but they wanted more. So of course, being, white glove service, I'm like, how can I help? What can I do? Right. It evolved. And, that's kind of what you said. What's the global girl evolution? Where are you now? And so all the time, just answering the call of how can you help other women feel empowered, get the education they need, and have the same opportunities that you have had. Because I have been really blessed with wonderful people in my life that have always pulled me up, just said, Shannon, right, You've got something, let's pull you up to this next level. Let's get you here. And without that encouragement, that insight, and that opportunity, I would never be where I am today. And so right, I have basically created that for other women. So as I've traveled to Roatan, Honduras, to Cuba, far ends of China, Thailand, Vietnam, and I've gone to so many countries, but the stories were still the same. They were still that the women did not have the opportunity to support their children in the way that they knew they could evolve out of poverty and be able to sustain a life where they could eat every day and learn and be able to improve the generations after them. Mm-hmm. And so from that subscription box, I started to make an income from that, but it still wasn't enough. So I started to coach women here in that. Well, I'm actually in Texas right now, but in Nashville where I live, I started to coach women who were creatives, who could have that problem solving ability to basically run their businesses in a way where they could give back to other women who didn't have enough, but they didn't have many means themselves. So I showed them to expand their skill set and to be able to, reach other people with just the small amount of money they did have. And I had no idea at all that COVID was going to help me scale at the point that it did.
That was my next question is, I have found the entrepreneurial community, especially the solopreneur, in great part, the small entrepreneur has probably been the best equipped to pivot and adjust this year in ways that are remarkable. The last time I had really observed your work, it was the subscription box. It was the go to the shopping cart, buy this incredible gift. You get the story of the creator and this wonderful woman feeding her kids and the contribution you're making to her life. The social enterprise aspect was so intriguing to me and so wonderful. And then you and I reconnect this year, and I'm like, holy crap, there's a whole ecosystem around what's been built in 6 months with you. So COVID happened. I'm asking you, all right, so how's this relating to the women whose products you were buying, and how has their life been affected? And then you exposed me to this whole world of interconnectivity with women you're helping here in the States. So describe a little bit about, and I know this is where you were going and I interrupted, but I wanted people to have a little bit of context. What was previously a social enterprise shopping cart where you could buy a wonderful piece of jewelry or a craft item made by a wonderful woman attempting to provide for her family, has now become something far different and far more expansive. So kind of take us through that journey, what COVID really hit on and provided for you.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. So, so that's still in effect. We still have our e-commerce shop, and that box is still available, but it's just not the center of what we're doing. And so it just kind of runs itself. That sounds funny to say, but it's true. Those women are still contributing we're purchasing more, and that's helped. Okay. we try to be very conscious of, though, the demands that we put on them, because we really want these women to own their own lives and to really be supported in the way that they feel they need to be supported.
Right.
Much of that is through encouragement and guidance, more so than like, we want to order 50 billion bracelets or something like that. So we've been very, very careful to make sure that these women are supported in the way that makes them feel most confident and empowered in their own communities.
You're teaching them to become independent and business owners, aren't you? Not just craftspeople. Yeah.
That's right. We want them to feel empowered with their own lives and to be the woman they want to be, not the woman that we think the world thinks they should be. You know, it's really important that we all have our own identity and that we are supported by a tribe of sisters. And so what I did during COVID was I fell into this, you know, like, how in the world am I going to continue to bring in these products? Customs has changed, importing has changed. I really struggled with how I could place orders. I didn't know how I could, the materials were very scarce. Like, some of them are on islands and they can't get the products they need to build and create these. So there were so many challenges, and I really thought, things are falling apart. I'm not going to make it. They're not going to make it. What are we going to do? And I realized how important sustainability was for myself before I could even do so much for them. So then we started to build a very structured foundation of e-courses. So that was the trend, right? Everybody's going online, everybody's e-course for this, that, or the other. And I thought, you know, I'm not sure where universities and colleges are going to be. So how are they going to get to the point where they can go there if we don't even know what tomorrow holds? So I created my own university within my company for the Shannon Rizzo companies. I basically just created models that I could teach basic business skills and, you know, math. You know, some don't know how to add. Some don't know what a profit is. Like, there's very basic skills when you're trying to feed your family that you have to know. And they didn't know those things. So I started with a module for them, but it ended up being a module for all women who wanted to start their own business. And so it translated very quickly into the newest, hottest thing for women in developing countries. And so we have, you know, business modules that will teach. I'm actually coaching on video, just like we're talking right now.
Right.
And in an e-course they can get online. So any woman in the world who speaks English could get it. And we thought, well, let's expand that and do it in different languages. So now we're hitting different markets and different languages. But really what we're doing is we are taking a woman who has a little seed in her heart that says, I want to give back. How can I be fulfilled within myself and not keep, you know, just working for someone else, fulfilling their dream? How can I fulfill my dream? So we're getting her in touch with what that dream is. We're guiding her through coaching, and then we're putting her into these programs, and she's going through these programs, and in a snap, she's coming out and she is ready to serve and to give back in a way that's more impactful and powerful than she ever was before on her own. And she has a tribe of support, women who need her services, right? So my first group of women, there was a CPA, there was an attorney, there was a photographer, there was a nonprofit specialist. They're women from all over, high-end professionals, and they could use each other's services. So they immediately connected, made money from each other, and then when they got out of the program, it changed their lives and changed all the women's lives and families that they were going to serve to begin with, but they reached them quicker with my help. And so COVID basically birthed the Level Up Academy, which now serves women in developing and developed countries.
Now, a lot of the Level Up Academy work involves headspace, of course. That's where you start, headspace and heart space.
That's right.
And then, because you can't learn what makes you better until you feel worthy of being better, right? So I understand that. No, that's a lot of the first core stuff. I've been through programs like that myself, where until you get your own stuff cleaned out, you can't really begin to contribute. What are some of knowing that's so important, I don't want to take that for granted, but what businesses did you find your first core of women stayed in their current space as far as industries or spaces, or did they just explode into something else altogether?
They bailed so quick. They are creatives that were stuck in a position that was very static and analytical. And the reason they couldn't figure out why their heart wasn't on fire is because they were being stomped out by numbers and words and all the things, politics. And they were like ready. They were just like yearning for something more. And a woman is creative just naturally. Like we have that multitasking ability to basically harness so much energy. And when we're restored, we can give so much more. That's just what a woman, the feminine divine energy is that's what she is. And I didn't realize how many women felt the same way as me. And so when I started talking from the heart and just really being authentic, like, I'm depressed, guys. I don't know what to do. I don't know if Global Girl's going to make it. We've got all these women. And people were like, well, how can I help? And I started to get volunteers. And I'm like, wait a minute, you've really got something here. Let's figure out what that is for you and why you love it so much. And then the programming started, right? So then I'm like, oh, there's a commonality. We can take this and put it into a model, and then we can just share this with everybody. So they've changed careers. One of the best stories, I couldn't say the best, one of the stories, because they're all wonderful. Allie was in my last program, and she was a CPA. And she had 2 wonderful children and a husband. And she's like, Shannon, I've got this other company. I started this clothing line and it's wonderful. And I've got all these women I'm serving, but my heart just feels like I'm still at the CPA office. I'm doing the clothing thing, but I haven't really found my passion. And I was like, well, what do you think it is? And she said, I think I want to be a health habit coach. And I was like, you want to be a health habit coach, so she knew it. She just was afraid to say it. And that was it. We give them the voice to say what they really mean and have a safe place. So she actually, it's been 4 months, she has started her coaching business in my program. She has, her first week that she launched, she made $1,800 and she paid her mortgage payment with her first week in business. She then got so much encouragement and confidence that she sold her house, decided to homeschool her kids. Her husband quit his job and they are traveling the world. I mean, it's still, statewide, but then same places, right, during COVID. And she's on a different excursion every single month, living in a different place and being a global girl. She's also giving back. She's tithing to our charity, to the foundation. And then she's also going to go on the trip to Honduras with us and help uniform the children who need opportunities and help build these women's skill sets. So she's the perfect example of exactly this whole ecosystem and supply chain that we've been doing. And she did it in 4 months.
Yeah, that's amazing. And she struck on an industry that's exploded in the context of COVID. Once we got finished baking our initial bread, we knew it was time to buckle back down again and become as healthy through this as we can, So that's a great segue. I want to know about, you mentioned there in passing, the foundation, Global Life Girl, of course, the foundation's the .org, the Shannon Rizzo companies. So obviously people are going to see some visuals in the post. They're going to see, in conjunction with this, a good description and a far more detailed set of Q&As. But tell us about the ecosystem, about the structures, and about the different organizations and how they kind of connect.
Sure. So the Global Girl Life was the original brand, and that was the subscription box. And so it was telling those stories that really created that brand. It was, reaching into the heart of the artisan and then telling the story of the client who received the item. So that item traveled around the world to the heart of the one who received it. And so that Global Girl Life brand is actually that particular unit of our companies is now a community and a publication. So we have an online publication that supports storytelling. And so women can be contributors. Anyone who has a story about travel or empowerment, enlightenment, like anything she wants to, she can be a contributor, and she can also read stories that will empower her and serve in that respect. So everything is connectedness throughout all of the brands. The Global Girl Life shop came from that. So I had to have a place where I could move the subscription box and all of the items. I had so much demand and so many artisans that wanted to be a part that we actually opened up a a e-commerce site, and you can shop for independent items with each story. So women would go on and do all their Christmas shopping or all of their birthday shopping for their tribe, and they would just start putting things in the cart that they knew so-and-so would like. So that's there.
Yeah.
And all those proceeds go to the Global Girl Life Foundation, which is our 501c3 that we just started on my birthday this year. That was my birthday present to myself and the world, was to go ahead and make that official. And so all the proceeds from anything that we do in the Global Girl Life brands go to the foundation for my donation. And then we have ways that people can get involved in that respect, where donors can just donate so that we can give a hand up, not a hand out. All of their money is used to teach and to help feed children and put them through school.
Right.
And then, so the foundation has kind of evolved as well. And now women contributors are actually volunteering. So it's a complete 100% volunteer organization. The women that are involved in that are usually people who have graduated from the Shannon Rizzo Company's program. Yeah. And so, so we have the publication, the shop, and the foundation on the Global Girl Life side. And then we have on the Shannon Rizzo side, on the companies, we have 5 different programs. And it's basically the same woman, and she goes through these different steps so that she can set her heart on fire and become boundless. And so that's the whole thing about COVID, is like, we are not going to be stuck in this small survival box. We are going to expand our minds, our skill set, utilize the things we already own, and we're going to become boundless and be able to serve the world. And so all of those things combined to Global Girl World is what I call it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, these cohorts, for lack of a better term, are they group cohorts that all start at one time and go through it together, or is it an individual self-proctored, self-curated kind of deal?
Great question. And it's customized. So every woman is different and she needs something different. What we found is that she may come in as an individual and just need some one-on-one attention. That could be as little as a booklet that we hand her and she gets enrolled in a cohort. Or it could be that she's like, I really want to go. I'm ready. Like, I need the support of all of these things that you have. And we enroll her in our Level Up Academy immediately. And we push her through. We put pressure. We hold her accountable. Yeah. We help her grow, change her mindset all at one time. Those cohorts are 10 to 12 women because I like to keep it very intimate, and we can have as many cohorts as we need to at one time because my time is all dedicated to these companies. And so she comes out of that program in anywhere from 3 months to 6 months. And then she's ready to do whatever it was that that her heart was set on fire for. Yeah.
I've seen part of the curriculum and it is extremely robust. As someone who's built courses before, I can appreciate how much work goes into course development, how much work goes into content, how much work goes into just the refinement, and then the conducting of live coursework. It multiplies that. Most people build courses to deliver a one-to-many model. They don't really anticipate a desire to be present. They build courses so they can be absent in most cases. You've done quite the opposite, where your coursework is about building individual relationships with these women, and then subsequently staying in touch with them and inviting them to become a grander part of the community as they wish. You know, it's staggering amount of work.
It is. It totally is.
Yeah. I've looked and I've just thought, man, there is Shannon pours napalm on every fire she runs into, you know. But that's so cool.
It's so true. Well, but that's the thing though, Sherman, the power of what I'm doing creates more, right? So the whole thing is to, like, everybody talks about synergy and they talk about survival to thriving, but really a lot of people haven't harnessed the ability to connect those people when they're done with those. It's very linear. They're like, okay, well, you're going to be from here and you're going to go here. We want you to do this. We want you to spiral in and we want you to connect and pinpoint on what your heart is and then start to spiral back out again so that you can take that desire and share it with the world. So it's very important that my leadership is present because I've done it, right? So I have created this and I know how. But also that, you know, it's a life cycle. This is something that we're not going to go through once. These are things that, you know, the world is changing. We have to be adaptable.
Right.
And so we have to keep continuing to practice that all the time. And that's where the coaching really comes in. I feel like that absent presence leaves people still overwhelmed and unsure. And we want to create confidence that will become courage to other people. And so what we do is we get them wrapped back in our cycle. We employ a lot of them. So a lot of the women that go through our program in the developing countries are now starting to uplift their own groups and get them involved and their coaches. So our reach is expanding, and so referrals are coming in, but we want to touch even more people than that. We want to start to grow outward and reach people that we've never even thought to talk to, because we know everyone needs help. And so you and I talked about this too, and it's like, if you can change a woman's life, you can change her children's life. If you can change her children's lives, you can change the community. And if you can change the community, you have the chance to change the world. And so every person that we touch, we want to bring her in and let her expand her community.
Yeah, it's so completely powerful. Tell me, there's been, as part of the foundation's work, a real move to help the children of these women, because their life has been affected by COVID so substantially in many cases. Just as you indicated in the first part of the interview, their supply chains are broken. They can't earn what they used to earn. We're struggling in the States, the most, you know, the richest country in the world, and we're struggling. So the struggles are exacerbated in countries that don't have the blessings we have. So what specifically are people able to do with respect to the foundation work to help the children of these women being affected?
Yes. So that's super. It seems like I need a drink of water. Let me get that really quick. So basically the foundation has all different aspects that you can get involved in. One of those is simply just donating. So some people who don't have a lot of time because now their lives have changed, they have more pressure in their family life, their work has changed. They're like, you know, I have a little bit of extra money and I want to donate $12 a month to go to a certain topic that you guys are working on or a certain project. And so we have people that do monthly donations. We also have big donors for companies that are thriving right now that have really, you know, benefited from COVID, and they had the structure in place. So they're giving large donations, and they're becoming legacy projects that we're working on.
All right.
So the legacy projects will actually put computers into stores that will help children come from school and their mothers be able to use those for the e-courses we're designing. They'll have access to that. And then we also have where they can get involved and help us seriously just put clothing on children, like go with us to a trip and like use your hands and help these little guys, you know, get backpacks with cool school supplies and things like that. They can also sponsor a kid for a year for only $65 and put that kid through school with a uniform, a backpack, and all the supplies they need. The big deal about that, Sherman, is that this year there will be more children who will not have help than ever before. When we started getting involved with these projects, the biggest thing was that it was only $65, but many families didn't have $65.
Of course. Right.
5 kids. So 1 kid got to go to school out of 5. So 4 children were not educated. And so we went in and we said, how can we send the 4 children to school too? And so that woman was still striving to feed her children and clothe them and put them through school, but she needed help. So we did that so that they can get involved in that way. And then also, you know, of course, anything from the shop still goes to the foundation. So even if you're just looking for gifts for people, please go there and shop and get something that you can give from your heart in that way. And I mean, there's actually limitless ways to be involved, and we're very open to other suggestions that people might have that they want, you know, from their heart that they want a gift.
Yeah, because I mean, the foundation and this part of your work is still very new, and it's hard telling where it will be a year from now. And our hope is that you know, a handful of people hear this story and hear this message and see the work that's being done, and do any number of things to plug their communities into what you're doing. And it's some of the more ground level work being done right now. And I know personally that, I mean, I don't know exactly how to say it in official terms because I don't know that world, but I know you and I know the organization, and everything that is done to support is really helping these kids and helping these women.
That's a great point. And so if I bring it to the root level and the ground level of where they are. So our biggest project right now is in Coxon Hole, Honduras, which the ships come into the port there. And it's all the money that they have for that little island. And the Made in Roatan store where I first got involved, the artisans are literally like 200 feet from the cruise ship. So people would come off the cruise ship and go into the store, and they had some kind of income that was just Tuesdays or Thursdays whenever the ship came in. There were tour guides that were there, so men were making money being tour guides, but it all stopped. And so now the store isn't even open. So we still have our connections, and the women still need to be supported. The children have to eat. So we actually switched and made our foundation mission to be able to support and nourish children with education, enlightenment, and empowerment. So that also became food, right? So if you cannot learn if you cannot eat.
Absolutely. Right.
So we have donors right now, and we're looking for more, but we are feeding children in the community every Friday. It costs $60 to feed 30 children. And we have a liaison who's cooking on a propane grill. That's her grill. She doesn't even have a stove out of her house, and she's cooking for them and providing ministry and talks with them while they eat. And so for $60, 30 children can eat. She's feeding them beans and rice and all the really things to nourish and fill their bodies. Yeah. They were knocking on her door, Sherman, and asking, can you please feed me? And this is where this idea was birthed from, because they literally came to her starving and saying, can I eat at your house? So we decided to support her. And then we also have an administrative fee for $10 that we pay her $10 to do all that. And she's like, I don't even need the money. I just want that to go towards them. So then when January rolls around, these children will be, be well. And we can then put them into school. When school starts back, we will provide the uniforms for them. So these were the same children that we went last time, and we saw their faces, and they were the ones we put through school last year. And this year they're not even able to eat. Right. So it's providing that work that for someone to be able to cook. It's providing the food that's being put on the table. And then also she's giving ministry and providing the mindset that they need to stay strong and healthy and stay off the streets, stay away from drugs. And so we've even actually helped with the rehab. The men and women that are coming there are pouring in because things are so bad. We've actually started to feed the participants in the rehab center, because that's the dads and the moms that are being affected. So if we can support the problems that they ask us to help support, then we can keep them elevated and keep them going to school and keep them off the street. And so that's the basic fundamental needs of the foundation, is just the money to help them do that.
Sustaining them so they can sustain themselves as soon as the market permits.
That's right. That's right.
And to the extent possible, still buy from those artisans if they have the ability to produce anything. I can't imagine. I have 2 daughters, and of course they're grown now, but even as grown women, if something's going on in their lives, I can't focus on mine. It's impossible. And even if you don't have children, if you have people in your life you love, and those people are suffering, you can focus on your own work. And, so the work is so exponentially important. And I think what you've done to spin up this ecosystem, it so identifies how important this service is and giving. When you give and don't keep score, magic happens.
Yes.
And I think that's what's happening with your team, the participants in your program. I know good and well those children and their parents. People can say, well, that's a drop, but it's an important drop to those people.
That's right.
And I think giving would be revolutionized when it's personified and when it's authenticated And I think part of the problem around corporate giving, part of the problem around institutional religious giving, is that there's not enough stories told about the individuals
Yes.
who are being helped by that giving. Until people understand who the individuals are in Honduras, they just think it's some kind of corporate nonprofit giving program. It's when in fact it's about the individual stories. And that's what I love about the whole connection to the craftsperson, to the woman who's being helped in your organizations. I can see why it's growing as fast as it is. In the context of Blue Ocean strategy, the key around value innovation is lowering cost and increasing value. And when you do that, you create a whole new value proposition. And I mean, you are doing this on the skinny in great part. You're doing it because the real work being done here has to do with what goes on in people's minds and hearts. Am I right there?
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. The power of the mind. Yeah. And it comes out in the form of money. And that's really the creativity. Yeah. That's where creatives rule, right? So if they can learn the business process of harnessing, so it's almost like your courage becomes your currency. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is provide courage and confidence and change it into currency to change the world.
All the links associated with these projects and this work and the Level Up Academy are all included in this post, but I'm really interested, share as we begin to close here. You're such an inspiration to those women who work with you. I'm wondering, where do you currently get your inspiration? Who's inspiring you?
Yes.
Now?
That gave me chills just now. Every single woman that I've talked to that goes through any program or gets attached to us whatsoever. So I'll tell you, I won't talk long. I know I love to talk and I could talk to you all day long. But I got an email this morning from a woman who said, I have been trying to get on your calendar for 6 months. Could you please respond? Now, this was an automated email. I know the difference. I read my own emails. But she had been sending me these automated emails that she sends everyone. And I wrote her back this morning and I said, lovely woman, you can get on my calendar anytime you want to if you just stop trying to sell me something that you don't believe in. And I sent her a link to my calendar for an appointment. And so she booked it. And so it was like, I just don't care about the stuff that you don't care about. But if you care about something, then I care about it. And that is where my inspiration comes from. When I see that spark, and I have another program called Heart on Fire, and I call it, it's a spark. It's actually a beta. It's Spark Your Heart. If I can see that spark in you, which I see it very easily in most people before they see it in themselves, that's my gift, is being able to see the full potential of someone when I meet them. And if I can see that, then that's where it comes from. So my programs, every word, everything I've ever said or spoken was because my energy connected with theirs. And that provided to me just a download of information to help that person. So I'm a service-oriented connector. And so my inspiration comes from a color. It could come from a smile. It could come from anything where someone has just, they've seen it. They have their eyes light up for 1 second. I can grab it. And that's my inspiration.
Yeah, it's amazing to listen to you. I so love it because what I can attest to, we've traded a couple of emails on certain things in the past months, and what people need to understand about you is at one moment you're ultra woo-woo. I mean, way out there in outer space. But believe me, people, this woman is a logistical machine. She knows how to deliver and pull off miracles. Mm-hmm. And by virtue of that skill set, which is what it is, you can be energetically connected to someone, but if you don't have the skill set that helps them develop their skills,
that's right,
and become better and lead them to the tools that help them accomplish their vision, then you're not being as effective. as you could be. So don't think of Shannon as a literal version of The Secret, the movie. Think of her as the practical application of something far better.
Thank you, Sherman. So you literally just put into words what I have just translated into my program is the practical guide to becoming boundless. Like that is exactly what I do. I take everything that's woo-woo and I pack it into this program and I give you the logistical know-how to implement processes, get your business license, like set up QuickBooks. Like we do all of that stuff. And that's come from my, 20-something years of entrepreneurial experience. So I used to actually have a logistics company. So literally for 10 years, that's all I did was minute by minute. I delivered things across the states and the world. And so that's where that gift came from, was developing that for that time. And so the two merged. Like, so I found my spirit and I had all that practical experience. I'm like, how can I connect those two things?
Exactly. And it's just wonderful to watch. And I'll be paying far more close attention now to the future of what's going on in that ecosystem, that universe of Shannon Rizzo, as I hope everybody who watches this does as well. I encourage everybody to, especially the women out there who have never given themselves permission to connect with you, because it's very important stuff. So you move me, you really do. And, you know, I greatly appreciate our connection and appreciate you being here. And I don't think I've ever been as excited about putting something together as I have this. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you and your comfort and kindness. I mean, you really have, every time we have talked, you have challenged the things I think I know, especially about myself and what I'm able to do. And that is the thing about a good strategist and a good coach. It's people like you that are changing that are really asking that question, because we can be full of ourselves sometimes, Sherman. Like, I've got my own world over here, so I don't need anything from anybody. But when I talk to you and you ground me and you say, well, there's this simple thing that you haven't done. Why haven't you done that yet? And then all of a sudden my spark gets ignited, right? So thank you for that. And I know that you're helping people every day and you don't even know it. And that's really what it's being told, thank you. And that really makes the world go round. So thank you. And I appreciate you. And I'm saying thank you for all the people you've helped that haven't said that lately, because it's true.
Thanks. I appreciate that as well. So we'll wrap it up here now, folks. And again, hit these links, share them with the important women and daughters and sisters in your life, and connect with beautiful Shannon. So thank you, my friend. I greatly appreciate it.
Love you. Mwah. So much love.
Bye now. Take care.